With me, Rev Lee. Yeah, we're here again. The question. The question I want to talk about today is, can I change my past? Because most people are struggling. Most people, their past is just taking them down a rabbit hole, and they feel that they have no hope. They have no possibility of something different. But from a science of mind perspective, I want you to know that our self-knowing and conscious mind has absolute power over every previous experience. It can create a new present as it dissolves the past. Remember, a memory, an event in your life is like a photograph. So when you look at a photograph of a past memory in your life, there's an emotion attached to it. Now, if that emotion is negative, man, anything like that photo, you're bringing that negative emotion in. What you have to be able to do is look at that photograph, look at that event, and bring it into balance to see as much good as perceived bad in that event. Because there's no such thing as a one-sided event. There are always two sides, always two sides. And that's a difficult thing to master. It's a difficult thing to understand that there's two sides, but there are. You see, we got to remember, we got to take our mores out. We got to take our humanness out. We've got to come from the place of the observer. And in the world, there's always balance. Whether we want to see it or not, there's always balance. And our job, in order to change the past, is to see everything in balance. And when we see everything in balance, we can look at that picture of an event, of a person that caused us great pain, that maybe we're feeling that pain right now. But if we brought it into balance, we can pull that picture up and guess what? No pain. Why? We've dissolved the emotion that we've attached to it. Do you get that? So our emotions tell us whether we're free or whether we're in prison based on something in our past. And if you get that negative, that emotion, that dark emotion, that not pleasant emotion, it means you're holding on to something from the past, and that's where the work begins. That's where we learn to do the work. A lot of people call it forgiveness work. I don't really call it forgiveness work anymore. I call it balancing work. Seeing the balance in life. One of my favorite affirmations is, I live in gratitude and I see the balance and perfection in all life. Hear that with me. I live in gratitude and I see the balance and perfection in all life. That's a big thing to grasp. That's a really big thing to grasp. If you just look at nature, I know there's a lot of videos out there about lions attacking hyenas, hyenas attacking lions, pythons attacking this and that and this and that. You see, that's so cruel. But there's balance in it. There has to be balance. There's a balance between life and death. There's a balance between abundance and not abundance and lack. There's a balance between health and illness. There's a balance between happy emotions and sad emotions. And you see, when you can get to that point in the middle, that point of perfect balance, the point between the breath, the point between the thought, the point between the high and the low of an emotion, oh my God. Now you're in love. Now you're in oneness. Now you're in balance. Now you're in harmony. Now you're in gratitude. You see, those 5 things are all the same. Love is always in balance. Why do I say that? Because love cannot judge. And love cannot judge. It only sees balance. Do you get that? So if you are not seeing balance in your life and you're judging yourself, guess what? We've got some self-love work to do, don't we? You bet. And that's where most of us have our work to do. Everyone has their work to do with self-love. It determines everything in our lives. That's why my major theme for next year, 2023, is self-love. Very first class I'm going to offer is how to better self-love through conscious living. Why? Because I think it's what we need the most. It's a real interesting thing. Anita says, the animal kingdom wasn't ever said to be a fair place. Likewise, the same for the human world. Of course, there has to be contrast. There has to be balance. And there's a power out there. You call it God, you call it spirit, you call it creative mind, you call it universal intelligence, you call it the quantum field, call it anything you want. But it is a self-organizing principle. And this principle always seeks and creates balance, because if it didn't, it would self-destruct. Do you get that? Without balance, everything would come crumbling down. So think about that in your life. Without balance, isn't that where you find stress? Without balance, isn't that where you find disease? Without balance, isn't that where you find hurtful relationships? Without balance, isn't that where you find a lack of abundance? It all comes back to balance. Equanimity, living equanimously. I love that. Goenka says that in Vipassana. Live equanimously. In other words, when you see the balance to everything, you're not attached. Do you get that? Because in order to be attached to something, you've got to see one side. You've got to have that desire. But if you see everything equanimously in balance, you don't pull it forward. You experience it and you let it go. You experience it and let it go. And when you do that, you never have to worry about changing your past, because you're neutralizing the past in the present moment. Fully experience the moment, then let it go. Experience the next moment and let it go. That's how you recreate and rewrite your life. With that, make this the best day ever. And if you haven't joined me for meditation yet, 7 a.m. every day on Zoom. People all over the world are joining me. Check into it. You can find the Zoom link on agapespiritualcenter.com. You're all welcome. Make this your best day. Know that your past does not define you. Your past was a tool for you to rediscover a more powerful, a more authentic, a more infinite you. Until tomorrow, aloha.